there. For today's layout, I'm going to be back to Project Life, Project 365, and doing the entire month of March on one 2-page spread. Doing it this way is a great way to catch up if you've been, going by the week or every 2 weeks or whatever, and you've fallen behind, which happens to everybody. Or if you have a month where maybe there's a lot of individual things from the month you want to do regular scrapbook pages on, and you just want a way to sort of capture the entire month. For this month, what I've done is take my pictures all along, and I'm going to lay them out in 2-inch squares and strips and put my journaling underneath. And I'll show you in a few moments how I'm going to do that. The title I have over in the lower left corner, and a little bit of embellishment with that, and a photo of just the two of us, well, a single photo over in the upper right corner with, again, a little bit more embellishment. The page is going to be very photo heavy, so it's really not going to need or have room for a ton of embellishment. Just a good place to capture everything, and a little bit of color on the corners to pull everything together. The way I've done my photos is I printed them on 4x6s. I cropped each photo to 2 inches and laid it out in Photoshop Elements. This went surprisingly fast. I kind of dreaded doing this because I thought it would take, I do this kind of thing a lot, but this many photos on a 4x6 I thought would take quite a bit of time. I ended up with a process that went fairly smoothly, and I have that in the sketch and PDF that goes with this on my blog, and there'll be a link for that in the description for the video. So if you want to check that out, it gives you the steps in Photoshop Elements to do that. However you want to go about getting your squares, you could print regular photos and then just punch them with a punch, getting what you're interested in capturing for that particular day. But this way I did 5 4x6s that got me 30 pictures, so for less than $1 I got the majority of my month, and then I did one more picture of the two of us together. So I'm going to go ahead and crop these down, and then I'll show you how I'll get the journaling on there. And then we'll talk about the products to use for the layout. The first thing I did was take all the 4x6s and just cut them right down the middle, because I know I'm going to need them in strips. And when I was putting the photos together in Photoshop Elements, I didn't worry too much about what went on what print because I knew I'd be cutting a lot of them up. But in some cases, like this one, I put all the food-related things here together on one strip, so I may be able to leave those together. What I'm looking at now is how many photos go in each row. And this first row has 7, the next one 8, this one 9, and then we're back to 6. And that's just what worked out aesthetically to make the sketch work. So what I'm going to do is, as I'm planning these, I'll have a 6, 7, 8, and 9 row or grouping for each of the rows. So now I'm going to arrange my photos in those groupings, deciding kind of what goes together, and then I can get ready to do my journaling. Okay, I arranged all my groupings. I left some of the photos together and some of them I cut apart, but they're all going to get glued down. And I have my 4 together, then my 3 together, and so forth. I don't personally like to split a photo over the middle of the page, but you could do that if that worked better for you. And what I did was I just sat here with my laptop and I typed up the journaling. And I did it in Word, and this, since they're 2-inch squares, I know that 4 of them is going to make 8 inches. So as I typed my journaling, I just went along till I got to 8 inches and line returned and did, the next row. And I tried to keep it to 2 rows, no more than 2 rows per grouping, so that I wouldn't end up with so much journaling in there. And it took about 20 to 25 minutes to type up and print up the journaling. And when you consider it's a whole month, that's not bad. So now, with the journaling typed up, then what I need to do is just to glue these down. So I'll just glue them right above the journaling on this white cardstock. I use my white cardstock, I just get that at the office supply store. And I'll glue that one down, and then I'll glue this one down, and then I'll just trim them down, and they'll be ready to go into strips on my page. Okay, I'm working on the arrangement here and deciding on the background papers. I have an extra sheet of this, and I have an extra sheet of this solid cardstock, so I'm just trying to decide which one I like the best. I'm also trying to figure out whether I want them to leave some space. The sketch did not have that, so let's see what they look like if they're really together and there's no space between the rows. And I think I like that actually a lot better than leaving that little bit of yellow. That makes a little more cohesive look. Now, for paper collections to go with this, I went through 3 different things. I had a completely different background. I'll show you a picture of what I started out with before I even put the photos together. And I just found that collection to be way too fallish, and it just did not work for me. So then I pulled out some other papers that didn't work, and finally I got to these. These will look familiar. I've used them. It seemed like I used them a lot, and I went back and checked, and really this is only the 3rd layout from Project Life that I've used these on. This is Simple Stories Summer Fresh collection, and I went through the papers, and these were just really struck me. When I saw these, I was like, okay, this I can work with. This goes with the yellow. It goes with the some of the colors in the photos, and it was bright enough, but yet it wasn't so springy, because like most of the country, spring hasn't really come very quickly here. So I'm thinking about doing my large circles in the green. I've got plenty of the green to do the 2 large circles, and this floral print for the next size circle, and then some of the other papers for the strips. I originally put the circles in to break up all these lines, so I may do the same thing with the chevron. I may cut it into the design and use that in some of these horizontal pieces to kind of break the lines up a little bit. So I think I'm going to do that off camera, and then we'll come back and see that assembled. Also, I need a title. And what I looked at for the title was some words that went with the month of March, because a lot of times you can come up with something clever that goes with your theme. And since this was the month of March, I considered March Madness, but we're not basketball fans, nor was it a particularly maddening month. It was just pretty normal stuff. So March to a different beat, even though we often do that, didn't really seem to fit the photos this time. I might save that one for another opportunity. So I decided on March On, and that's also a short title, so it doesn't take up tons of space on the page. And I have these red thickers, and I've got a couple of undressed chipboard that I'm going to paint and use for that. Now, in that one selection of papers, I did salvage something out of that I really liked. Salvaged a couple of things. I have these elements from Pink Paisley I've used before that I may mist and add some horizontal lines, but I also have these from Prima that are mistables, and they're really hard to see, but these are clocks. And the idea of March On is time marching on, so I thought these clocks would work really well for the circular elements on the sketch. I don't know which size ones yet, so I'm not going to mist them until I decide which of the 3 of these I'm going to use. So those are my products, and let me cut some of this stuff up, and then we'll come back together and finish putting the layout. Okay, here I am so far. I've cut my circles, and I'm starting to lay out my letters. I have this embellishment left over from something from a long time ago, but it matched really well in color. Still haven't made a commitment on the background papers. And I did pick these circles, and I'm trying to decide which colors to mist them with. I don't have anything that's quite deep enough, but I'm going to give these 3 colors a try. Okay, I'm misting the clocks, and this is Set Sail Mist from October Afternoon. You can start to see the clock image coming through there. Now I'm going to do the red one. This is a red color called Overdue from Studio Calico. It's been discontinued. They have, of course, lots of other reds. And it's a really bright red. I know I'm going to have to do something probably to tone that down a little bit. And then I have a very neutral color
from Studio Calico, and I really love how this one comes out. You can see the clock face really well, and it's just an easy thing to go with pretty much any layout, so I really like that. Now this blue obviously doesn't match my navy blue paper, so I need to work on it too. And I tried that taupey color that I used on the last clock, and it didn't make any difference at all. So my next try was some of the darker mist from Studio Calico called Dark Calico. And at first I thought I'd really messed it up, but once I added it and I went over it with paper towel, then I got a really pretty color.
Leave the page a little while ago. Somebody came to the door, and when I walked back up here, I immediately noticed all the white journaling, and I had some white letters over here on the left, but I didn't have any white on the right hand side of the page. So I've added this strip underneath the border strip, but I'm not really excited about that. I still need to add some white over here, but this is not it. I also tried matting the clock in white, and that didn't look good either. So I'm still searching for something. I have I need to put the date on here somewhere. I realized I hadn't put the date on it. So I have a frame, and I could paint this in white, but I haven't quite figured out where to put it. That's still a possibility. I could paint that white and put it there, and then pop the clock up. That's one thought. I also didn't have anything here, and I've added this red paper, and I really do like how that looks. I may just need to add a little bit more interest over here, maybe a little trim or something to add a little bit more going on in this corner, and then I think the page is about done. So I'm going to make a few final changes, and then I'll come back with the completed page. Okay, here's our completed page. And what I did to address some of the issues earlier is I moved one of the clocks up, and I added a sticker here and put another sticker on the other side to get a little bit more interest in this section. I also needed something along here, so I put some ribbon in, and I've repeated that over on the other side of the page. And I used the white date to bring some white over to this side. I went with the pattern paper background because I thought that also added a subtle amount of interest, not too much. It wasn't overpowering to the photos. I did not end up using the chevron paper. I just didn't think it really went. I thought I had enough going on without adding another different type of shape to this whole thing. And I also didn't do any more mistables since I had a challenge matching mists. But I was really pleased with how the blue one came out with the extra dark. The red one is a little bit orangey, but it does coordinate with everything. So I've got all my 31 photos on there, and here's our sketch. Please check out my blog for the PDF with the sketch and some details on how to crop the photos, if you'd like that information. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email or leave a comment here or on my blog. Thanks for watching.